Welcome into the Commanders Report. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Thank you guys for joining me here on the eve of the NFC Championship Game this year between the Washington Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles. As you guys know, I usually come to you from my studio here in Dallas, Texas, but today it's my day off, getting ready for this huge football game for this fan base and for this franchise that hasn't been in this spot for over 3 decades. So I want to thank each and every one of you guys for watching and enjoying all of our content this week during NFC Championship Week. And of course, tomorrow, Joey Peterson and I, we're going to be going live starting at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow afternoon for 90 minutes of pregame coverage, full live play-by-play coverage and instant reaction, and then also extensive postgame coverage for this NFC Championship game tomorrow afternoon. So today we've got some big news to cover just hours before we kick off in Philly. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button right now to never miss any big Commanders news updates, whether we get to Super Bowl week or whether we're starting our offseason coverage starting next week. Okay, so let's get to the big news here, which really could change everything for this NFC Championship game between the Commanders and Eagles, which is that we now know defensive tackle Daron Payne will be out for this football game. He's being characterized with knee and thumb injuries. And we knew about the thumb issue. He kind of dislocated his thumb against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He played last week through that. So my guess is here, guys, is that this knee injury is new and it's relatively severe, or at least severe enough to keep him out of this football game, which is really huge for the Washington Commanders for obvious reasons. So much at stake. A trip to the Super Bowl is on the line. So if Daron could go, you would assume that he would be going in this game, but unfortunately that's just not going to be the case. And instead, it's going to be the 335-pound nose tackle Carl Davis tasked with taking Daron's spot as kind of the run stuffer in the middle of the Commanders' run defense. And obviously, I don't think Davis is going to be providing any of the disruptive pass rushing ability that Daron is certainly capable of providing. But really the big thing for me, guys, heading into tomorrow is whether or not Carl Davis, his replacement, is going to be able to hold up and fill his role adequately in the middle of the Commanders' defense this season. The Commanders' run defense, just to be frank with you guys, has been terrible when Daron Payne has been not on the field. That's just the whole cold hard truth of it this season. When you look at the numbers, when he's not on the field and the other team is rushing the football, the Commanders statistically have the worst run defense in the entire National Football League. So his absence could really change everything in this game, because what are the Eagles going to want to do? They're going to want to feed Saquon Barkley. They're going to want to really dominate on the ground. And if Payne's injury proves to be fatal for the Commanders, the Eagles, even though they have an injured Jaylen Herz right now, and he's going to be somewhat limited with his knee injury tomorrow afternoon, if they can just run it with Saquon and dominate and move the chains at will with no resistance, the Eagles are going to be NFC champions, and they're going to be heading to New Orleans. So really Carl Davis and his role to provide the integrity of the interior run defense for the Commanders defense is going to be critical for Washington's ability to stop Saquon Barkley. And if they can stop Saquon Barkley, give themselves a chance to win this football game tomorrow afternoon. And I really do think that this is going to be a huge X factor for the Washington Commanders. Can Carl Davis, he's got the size, that's for damn sure, 335 pounds, he's a big boy, along with guys like Sheldon Day, along with guys like Jonathan Allen, along with guys like Johnny Newton. Can this interior of the Commanders' run defense hold up and remain and contain Saquon Barkley throughout the course of this football game? I think that's going to be very, very important. And, I don't have any answers. We're going to find out, and we're going to get those answers tomorrow afternoon. But this is certainly something that's not good news if you are a Washington Commanders fan. Daron Payne, I think that he's one of these guys that I think his production as an interior pass rusher has gone down in this new system brought in by Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr., but his impact on the team is really in run defense now. He's more of a true run stuffer. He takes on double teams. It's a very important role that doesn't necessarily get get highlighted in the overall box scores or on the stat sheet. So his presence and his lack of presence on the field tomorrow could prove to be fatal for this football team, but hopefully, as Commanders fans, that doesn't end up being the case. In just a second here, I'm going to tell you about the latest injury updates on the Eagles side and why there's some injuries on there that should concern Eagles fans and give Commanders fans some hope. But before I get into those, let's have a word from our sponsor today at Game Time. And Game Time is perfect for getting tickets to any event that you guys want to go see, whether that's a sporting event, whether that's a concert, whether that's a theater performance, whether that's a comedy performance. Any live event that you guys can get tickets to, you can probably get them on Game Time, and you guys can get them at the lowest price guaranteed. It's why it's the only ticketing app I have on my phone, guys, is because they got the lowest price guarantee on any ticket to any event, so you don't have to shop around, compare prices. It's always going to be the lowest price on Game Time. Also, you guys get transparent, upfront, all-in pricing, so whatever the price is on screen when you're looking into the ticket is going to be the price. You're not going to get slapped with a hidden fee right at the end. I hate when that happens. That's not what's going to happen with Game Time. Then also, if you're someone like me, likes to procrastinate, get your tickets kind of last minute, Game Time has flash deals right before the event starts. So you guys can get even cheaper tickets the closer you wait to Game Time. So go ahead, download the Game Time app today. Use code CHATSPORTS. That's one word, all caps, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, use code CHATSPORTS as the promo code when you download the price or to the Game Time app today for $20 off your first purchase. Okay, now let's talk about the injuries on the Eagles side heading into this matchup tomorrow afternoon and why they're significant. Let's start with the big one here, which is Jaylen Herz, who will be wearing a brace tomorrow afternoon, and I would assume that his mobility is going to be limited. The reason why that's important is because Herz is a quarterback that really does rely on his mobility, whether that's getting outside the pocket as a rusher and trying to pick up extra yards that way out of structure, or as a playmaker with his arm outside of structure. He really does like to leave pockets and depend on his ability to throw on the run, keep his eyes downfield, be a playmaker out on the perimeter. And with this limited mobility here, that's certainly going to give the Commanders' pass rush an opportunity to get to him, especially if they can get them into third and long and they stop Saquon Barkley in their run game on early down. So Jaylen Herz, I think his mobility is going to be limited tomorrow. How limited, we're going to find out tomorrow afternoon. It doesn't necessarily sound like he's even close to 100%, if I'm being completely honest with you. I don't think his legs are going to be much of a factor tomorrow, if I'm being completely honest with you. I think that he is really relying on Saquon Barkley to have a monster day tomorrow to deliver them to New Orleans. And Jaylen certainly hopes he has 2 weeks to prepare for a Super Bowl and get that knee back to close to fully healthy. But Hertz is one of these guys, ladies and gentlemen, that loves to hold on to the football, all right? The only person and the only quarterback that held the ball for longer this year on average was Lamar Jackson. But Lamar is obviously a dynamic athlete. He's an incredible playmaker out in space. And, Jaylen certainly relies on his mobility as well to hold on to the ball for as long as he does. He has some issue mentally processing defense. His downfield vision can be kind of cloudy at times. And if his first read isn't there within structure, things really begin to crumble for the Philadelphia Eagles passing attack. So his lack of mobility here could absolutely be an X factor for the Washington Commanders to get the victory tomorrow afternoon. And I guess we'll see just how limited that mobility ends up being tomorrow. Outside of the quarterback position, Quinyon Mitchell, their stud rookie corner, will be playing in this game with a shoulder issue. He left last week's divisional round game versus the Rams with that shoulder issue, did not return, but he will play this week. It's going to be interesting to see how operational he's going to be on the perimeter for the Philadelphia Eagles. And we'll see if guys like Terry McLaurin, De'Ami Brown, Olamide Zaccheaus, if these guys can take advantage of him if he's not 100% healthy. Then also Dallas Goedert, the tight end, is going to be playing in this game with an ankle injury. So, how dynamic is he going to be out in space? I would say he's going to be probably pretty limited as well. And then there's also some speculation about Cam Jurgens, their interior offensive lineman, who's been hurt here. He's been dealing with a back issue, and he's currently slated to be questionable heading into tomorrow's game, but based on the practice squad moves that the Eagles made today, you can almost book it that Juergens will be on the field in some capacity for the Eagles tomorrow afternoon. So I think Herz, Mitchell, Goddard, Juergens, all the top players that have been dealing with injury this week are slated to play, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see how effective they can be on the field tomorrow. So, heading into this matchup, guys, heading into tomorrow, after all this coverage, after we put out our preview, after we put out all the injury updates here on the channel all throughout the week, this is what it boils down to for me. Okay, tomorrow in Philly, it's going to be cold, but not too cold. We're not expecting snow or precipitation tomorrow afternoon either. It's going to be around 38 degrees and mild. So it's going to be, pretty mild winter football. So it's not going to be high winds. It's not going to be crazy or anything like that. It's going to prevent teams from throwing the football, anything like that. Not like it was last week with the snow globe game against the Rams. It's going to be pretty level playing field as far as I'm concerned, weather-wise, for this football game. But then the X factors on the field for me, number one, can the Commanders stop Saquon Barkley? This was already an X factor, but it's really an X factor now because of the Herz injury and because of the Daron Payne injury, keeping him out of the lineup. If the Commanders can do a good job against Saquon Barkley like they did in Week 16, especially in the second half, if they can be that version of the Commanders defense, they're going to have a really good shot to win this football game because I just don't know how effective Jaylen Herz is going to be as a passer, to be quite frank with you. So I really do think Saquon Barkley and how effective he is going to decide this football game. Also, another thing that's going to decide this football game, frankly, is Jalen Carter. He's the X factor for the Eagles on the other side of the ball. With Sam Cosmi out for the Washington Commanders, how is Trent Scott going to hold up? He did a good job last week against the Lions when Cosmi went down, but going up against Jalen Carter is going to be a whole nother beast entirely. Hopefully this offensive line, which has really done a good job protecting Jayden Daniels in these playoffs, continues to play well against this really ferocious pass rush that the Eagles are going to be throwing at him. And then the final X factor, of course, is Jayden Daniels. He has carried this team to this point. Honestly, from a roster standpoint, the Commanders really have no business playing in this football game. They got an average offensive line. They've got one really high-end receiving weapon. On defense, they've been a pretty middling group all season long, but because, Jayden Daniels has really turned on the back burners and turned on the nitro right here at the end, it's really allowed this team to play their best football right when they need to. And, once again, you've got a lot of pressure on the rookie quarterback to be at his best because he's the guy that elevates that entire Commanders offense. If he doesn't show up tomorrow, plain and simply, the Commanders don't have a shot. Jayden Daniels, once again, needs to be special. He's been special throughout these playoffs so far. I think that he showed a lot of great things last week against, honestly, a pretty decent defensive game plan, in my opinion, from Aaron Glenn and the Detroit Lions. But I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what this kid who put up 36 points against this Eagles defense back in Week 16 is going to be able to bring to the table. Right now, guys, I'm at a point where I'm at peace with this season for the Washington Commanders. If they lose, this team still has an extremely bright future. They're going to have a ton of money to spend in free agency next year. They've got some draft picks that they can work with as well. This team, obviously, they have the head coach right in Dan Quinn. They got the ownership right in Josh Harris. I think they got the right person leading the front office and Adam Peters, and of course you got the right person leading the team in quarterback Jayden Daniels. So this team, win, lose, or draw tomorrow, certainly has a bright future, but I'm along for the ride, man. I'm not going to put it past this football team to do anything. I think they can absolutely go into Philly tomorrow and win this ball game and go to New Orleans, and hell, they can even beat Kansas City or Buffalo. As long as Jayden Daniels is as special as he has been throughout this postseason, the Commanders will not and cannot be stopped. I truly, truly believe that. So tomorrow, we're going to find out the answers to all the questions that we discussed on today's show. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button right now because we're going to be going live. Me and Joey Peterson, we've been having so much fun on the Commanders Report watch parties all season long. It's all culminating here in our NFC Championship Game coverage. We're going to be going live 90 minutes before the game kicks off at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Super Chat giveaways. We're going to be singing Cry Eagles Cry songs. We're going to be having a ton of fun Probably spinning some of those those super chat wheels, having a lot of fun with you guys. It's going to be, it's going to be a night to remember. Let's say that. And then, of course, we got the live play-by-play coverage of the game itself. We're going to be live reacting to every play, every single moment that happens in this football game. And then if they win, we'll stay live and we'll watch Kansas City and Buffalo together to see who the Commanders play in the Super Bowl. If they lose, we'll do our post-game coverage and we'll kick off the 2025 offseason with you guys right here on the Commanders Report. So for free, extensive Commanders coverage, whether they're still playing and we head on to New Orleans and go to the Super Bowl week, or whether we lose and we kick off our offseason coverage, either way, we're going to be getting you guys the most extensive Commanders coverage money can buy, 100% free right here on this channel. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And until next time, guys, and until tomorrow, go raise some hail.